It's your girl Cece. I am back with another one. So if you see the thumbnail, that is from the reading that I did earlier when I was seeking information about the sun, what is currently going on with the sun, because there are a lot of videos on YouTube where people are showing that if you use another camera as a filter, you can see the sun almost flashing. So, of course, me being who I am, I had to go and I sought out this information. And this is one of the readings that I really wish I had done an actual recording on. But when you look at the thumbnail for this video, you'll see the first row. Those are just cards that I pull asking, okay, what is going on with the sun? But then the second row gets into the spiritual, what is going on with the sun. I'm just going to go ahead and cut to the chase and tell you guys like this, because I will be doing a more in-depth explanation of the cards. But from what I picked up, let me tell y'all, so many cards popped out during this reading. The Magician is one of the cards I definitely take note to, because whenever I do a reading, I don't want to get too personal about that, because that's between me, higher self, goddess, God, and all my spiritual posse. I ain't gonna get into too much detail when it comes to that. But I will say this. When it comes to the sun, it has a lot to do with God, and it has a lot to do with Jesus Christ. I'm gonna say that. Jesus Christ has a lot to do with our hearts. And that's why it says in order to get to the Father, you have to go through the Son. When I did that reading, that came out clear as day. And it actually has to do a lot with us and our hearts and how we come from our hearts. And the fact that right now the Devil card was in that reading. If you go and look at the thumbnail, the Devil card was right below the Three of Swords, and right next to the Devil card on the right side was the Three of Swords. It's almost like this heartbreak that God feels, because we are at such a low vibration in humanity that God is very upset with us. God wants us to do better and to love each other, and I'm talking at the wrong thing. God wants us to be kind to one another and love one another and come from our hearts. And our hearts are really corrupt right now. And God is not happy with that. And it shows that in the reading, with the Three of Swords being above the Devil card and the Three of Swords being next to the Devil card. It has a lot to do with Jesus Christ is our hearts, okay? In order to get to God, you have to have a pure heart. In order to return to the garden, so to speak, you have to have a pure heart. You cannot. That's why they say you have to be pure in order to get to God. They're not talking about a sexual purity. They're talking about purity within your heart. And if you don't believe that, I'm trying to tell y'all, go look at my reading. Make your own interpretation. But the question was, what is currently going on with the sun? And then something told me, do a spiritual reading. Ask spiritually what is going on with the sun. And I did that. And that is also another reason why. Listen to me closely now. For those of you who are trying to understand what the hell is going on with these chemtrails, they're trying to block out the sun, because in the reading, I have seen the sun in the reading. In the background, you see the rays coming from the sun. That is God's. When you hear some people on YouTube who call themselves light workers, who are doing energy work, and they talk about waves happening, a wave of energy, that is God sending down waves of energy for emotional contentment for us here on earth. And they are trying to block that from coming in. They're trying to keep that off of the planet. They're trying to make sure there's no emotional contentment here on earth. So people are always in a place of chaos in their lives. That is why they spray those chemtrails, so that it can block out whatever waves of contentment that God is trying to send down here for us through the sun, which is through our hearts. God is trying to make us more emotionally content, and they are trying to keep that out. They want chaos, they want upset, they want ruin, and they are trying to keep that out by putting those chemtrails in the sky and blocking out the sun. Because if you notice, and I know people call me crazy when I say this, and I mentioned this to a couple of people, I say, you don't never notice how those planes come in the sky, and after they spray on a very sunny day, all of a sudden it gets very cloudy and it starts to rain. And people look at me like I'm crazy. I'm like, I know what I'm talking about, because one day I had a chance to be off one day and observe excuse me, observe the sky. It was very sunny. There were no clouds in sight, absolutely no clouds in sight, you guys. And then all of a sudden those planes came out and started spraying, and this was high noon. This was like around 12, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And there was absolutely, what was that? For some reason my phone just vibrated. But there was absolutely no sun, no clouds in the sky. There was nothing but sun. Beautiful, it was a beautiful day, y'all. I remember it. And then next thing you know, those planes came out and they started spraying that shit, and those clouds became inflated all over Atlanta. All over Atlanta, and it started to get, it was cloudy, and it started to rain that day. I believe later in the day it rained, or it could have just been like, it looked like it was going to rain, but I think we did have a drizzle like later on that evening. Yeah. No, it was just cloudy that day. It was nothing but cloudy that day. It was cloudy. And I'm just like, ain't this about a this a bit. So I looking at that reading, yeah, that they're trying to keep, I see so many people talking about a sun simulator and things like that. No, they're trying to keep the energy that is coming down through the actual sun, the rays, the waves that are coming through the sun. They're trying to keep that energy out, because it is an energy that is being sent by the Most High to bring us emotional contentment here on earth. And they are trying to stop that from happening. That is why they spray those chemtrails on the sky, so those clouds can become inflated and cover the sky, so they can prevent that energy from coming down here on earth. So that was, if y'all don't believe me, look at the thumbnail. I mean, I really wish I could and I could go back and set it all up to how they came out and do a reading on it, a live or whatever on that, but it wouldn't be the same energy. It was so much information coming down in that moment that I was doing that reading, that I couldn't even contain it all. I couldn't even think clearly. Like I really, it was so hard for me to process it, and I was really trying, but I got what I got, and that was definitely some of the things that was coming down, that they know that this energy is coming down through the sun. The sun is very spiritual. The sun is connected to Jesus Christ. That is Jesus Christ. When you talk about Jesus Christ, we're talking about the heart, and in order for you to reach God, in order for you to even have a connection with God, you have to have a pure heart. So not necessarily that you have to be pure as far as being a virgin or whatever. You have to be pure of heart. You cannot have a heavy burden on your heart. You have to be clear of that, you know. And it's almost like in the reading, it was almost like it was saying that God feels like he's in a losing battle, like he's losing us here on earth, because the energy is so low vibrational that our hearts are being turned to evil almost. And it was just really interesting to see that in that reading that I did, and I was just like, wow, this is not something that I'm just going to do for myself just to know it, because I do a lot of readings just to know for myself. Like, I'll ask questions about the stars, I'll ask questions about certain planetary energies, luminaries such as Chiron. If I just for an example, I've never did one on Chiron, but I may be doing one soon. How is Chiron affecting me and things like that? Where do trees come from? Why are trees the way they are, like the branches of trees? I have this theory that in the formation of earth, it used to be so much water, and I believe that the lightning used to strike the water so much to where the trees, you know, were growing or whatever, that's why they look like that. It's almost like because water holds memory, and the fact that the trees were in the water, you know what I'm saying? I know what I'm saying, y'all. Like, I just think about stuff like this all the time. Why is this that way? Why is this like this? Why is that like this? Why is the sky blue? Don't believe what side. We have a dome covering us. We have a dome covering us. And that dome is actually, okay, so because the earth is mostly blue because of the water's blue, it's very telling. So it's like, but anyways, I just wanted to come and tell you guys about that reading that I did about the sun, what is going on with the sun. No, it's not a fake sun, because if it was a fake sun, they wouldn't be going through as much as they're going through to kind of cover it up and trying to keep the rays from coming in. The rays that are being, the wave that is being sent through the sun from God, from source, is coming through the sun, Jesus Christ. Also our hearts, to purify us and to give us emotional contentment. And they are trying to keep that from happening. They're trying to prevent that from happening. They do not want us to be emotionally content. They want us to be in a place of chaos always. That is the purpose. That is the plan. That is the purpose with the chemtrails. That's why they're causing so much chaos down here. They're trying to, get so much stuff stirred up. So we're always in a place where we're always focused on the wrong thing instead of focusing on our relationship with God and Jesus Christ, which is our hearts, and centering our hearts and coming from a place in our hearts. So that's my reading. Y'all have a great evening.